Hello, it is Alex here, also known as Defaultsound, and today I'm bringing another quick video that I forgot to add after the intro to Vertex colors, but I wanted to give you some examples of where this technique has been used in games, and basically just give you an idea of what that sort of style looks like and how it's been used. So here I've got three examples of where vertex colors have been used. On the far left here, we've got probably the earliest example I could find of 3D, well, real-time 3D polygons, and that was used in the original Virtua Fighter game. Many of you who are familiar with it will know it for its iconic polygon blocky characters, and basically the way they textured those characters was painting the vertices different colors, and I've noticed there is a bit of shading in there, so I'm guessing the lighting was present, but they just shaded the flat faces different ways. But as for the textures or the colors, that was all painted in, I can assume, using the vertices or vertex colors in the polygons. Now another example is the popular MMO RuneScape. In RuneScape 2, I know in the most recent version it's a bit more high tech now, but way back in probably even the classic in RuneScape 2, they used vertex colors to texture all the art essentially. So this was probably a clever way of keeping the texture count down. Not to say there weren't textures, I have seen textures in the game, but I can assume that this was to keep, download times low, as it was a game you played in your browser. So using vertex colors would have been a cheaper way of storing color information and having, unique art assets in the game. And I think there's probably a special shading setup as well in the game. But yeah, it's you can see that that's another example of how vertex colors are used. Now another early example was Starfox. I can assume this is probably vertex colors just based on the way it looks and how what the sort of hardware that was available at the time. I know if you know the history behind Starfox, it actually used a special chip in the cartridge that boosted the graphic capability of the Super Nintendo. So this chip allowed the Super Nintendo to render very basic polygonal information. So I can assume that at that point vertex colors were also probably heavily used to color all the assets in the game. So just got some more examples here. Here's a better screenshot of Virtua Fighter, so we can see the characters are you can see the polygons because they've not been smoothed, so we can see each face on the character here. Again, I can assume the vertex colors because you can kind of see where the polygons sit, say on this guy's belt here, that it's painted green, so I can probably assume that that was vertex colors used. I did notice maybe there was a couple of textures used on the face for the eyes, but I think that was probably about it, and the rest, again, like even the ground, is all vertex colors again used there. Here's another Sega example. This is Wing War, I think it's called. Again, all the polygons probably use vertex colors to shade the models or color the models. This is a more recent example, not quite vertex colors, but has that kind of vertex colors look. And this is kind of the case today. It's not necessarily a technical limitation, but more of a stylistic choice. So here in Shelter, they've used very polygonal models with very abstract textures, and it kind of gives a really cool different style. This is another recent example, not quite vertex colors, but it kind of has that vertex colors look, and that's Christian Nordgren's last Invader game, which is kind of cool. And just to show you it's not vertex colors, he's got this sheet here showing you he did use a small texture sheet. I assumed he just scaled the UVs to each color or something like that. So again, vertex colors aren't, as a style, they're still being used today, but they have different purposes in modern games. They are still used, just not necessarily to texture the characters or assets like they were way back in the early 90s. So that's it for this video. I hope it's just been me rambling along about what sort of games use vertex colors, or what some ideas of what games use vertex colors. But that's about it, and I think now we can get our hands into Blender and start modeling some assets.